To close out our morning, we are honored to have two members of Congress with us who are demonstrating incredible leadership in this space. And so it's a pleasure to introduce Representative Jefferson Shreve from the 6th District of Indiana and Representative Gabe from the 1st District of Rhode Island. And they are leading the Stop Scams caucus in the House of Representatives. And it is a true pleasure to have them here. And what we want to focus on now as we lead into lunch is congressional leadership in this space of fighting online scams. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Niels.
So first question, we're going to start with you, Representative Shreve. As the founder of the Stop Scams Caucus, can you please share a little bit about what compels you to create the Stop Scams Caucus and how online scams impact your constituents and our country more broadly?
Now, I'm happy to. Thanks for this opportunity. It's good to be with all of you today. This is the first time I've been in HQ 2, so it was just fun to nose around and see something of this facility. I am a freshman member of Congress, and I'm from Indianapolis. My district includes parts of Indianapolis and goes down to Columbus, Indiana, the old Mike Pence, Greg Pence seat, my predecessors, and I've got some rural counties in Indiana. But I come from the Hoosier heartland, the center of the country. As I came into service, one of the things that we learn as we represent our constituents it was that there was this growing problem that I personally see, felt, and touched routinely, mostly coming in through my cell phone traffic, not just text messages, but genuine and just sort of strangely realistic phone calls from a scam standpoint. And I looked at the agenda. I have some idea for how much so many of you in this room know. And so I don't want this to be a remedial session, but I want you to know that in Congress, even a new member can come in and identify an emerging, fast-growing problem that it became clear to me no one else really was leaning into or had taken ownership of. So in a seniority-based system, no one else in the House was really trying to lead on this. And so I worked to form and get bipartisan support for the Congressional Stop Scams Caucus, and we have that. So Mr. Amo is a co-chair. Zach Nunn is a co-chair from the Republican Conference, and Jamie Raskin, another Democrat colleague, has joined me as a co-chair. And we have 20-some members of that caucus now, and it's fast growing because others recognize this problem and know that this is not a partisan problem. This is an apolitical problem that challenges my constituents, your constituents, so many of your customers. And we're hustling to help.
So, Mr. Amos, same question to you. Mm-hmm. What inspires you to be one of the co-chairs of the Stop Scams Caucus, and how does this impact your constituents back home?
Yeah, well, first off, I want to thank my great friend, Jefferson Shreve, for his leadership. I know what it's like to be a freshman member, and I was a redshirt freshman. I came in a special election in 2023, so I've been in Congress 2 years. So the seniority system, is a real thing. But I'm so grateful to partner with him, because to paraphrase what we've heard about infrastructure, because Jefferson also serves on the T&I committee, there is no Democratic scam or Republican way to get scammed. There is just scam, right? And there's bipartisanship that is necessary to address something that our constituents are facing at great volume. There is, the increasing technological aspects. You all know that stuff better than me, whether it's AI enabled, whether it's the text messages, whether it's, hearing about your grandchild who's in Italy and has run out of money and you need to help immediately. We are all hearing this. Right? And there's been a dramatic increase, $12.4 billion in scams. And I actually think that's an undercounting by a lot. and that was an increase from 2023 to 24 by 25%. In my state, the great state of Rhode Island, if you haven't been, please come join us. We're great in the summer too. I see some people who know Rhode Island. I see the heads nodding. But what makes our state great is a long legacy of hardworking people. And hardworking people that I hear from who are calling with very desperate stories. And we have an older population in my state. So we are in the top 10 of states that where we experience scams. And of that, $12.4 billion number I cited, about $2.5 billion that is incurred by seniors in our community. So I've heard horrific stories from people impersonating FTC officials to romance scams to so much that has hurt people. I heard a story about someone taking out $5,000 from the bank because they found somebody who was showing them true love. And they were out of that, and that's retirement savings. That is impactful, that hurts. So the call to action comes from the people we represent, and that transcends party lines, it transcends geography, it transcends and crosses oceans, as you know from the attendance at this event today. So we're getting to work.
Fantastic, thanks. Yeah, the scale of the problem is global. The scale is really shocking. But it's really the lived experience of your constituents that I think motivates your leadership and action in this space, which is awesome to see. So this morning we heard from U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro about the executive branch's coordination to combat transnational scam networks via the Scam Center Strike Force. So wanted to give you guys a chance to speak to how you see Congress's role and leadership opportunity in this space from the legislative branch in the fight against scams and the global effort to protect consumers in America. So we'll start with Mr. Amo for this one and then go to Mr. Shreve.
Right. Well, one of the challenges here, as you all know, is that we got alphabet soup of agencies involved with scams, work with fighting crime. Your DOJ, your FBI, your TFPB, or what remains of it. You have a lot of agencies doing work, CFTC, FTC, so many players. Now, the thing that we have to do here and what our caucus aims to do with our combined efforts with our legislation is to draw up the plays, right? I sort of view us as if this were football, we'd be the offensive coordinators. But then we need the players on the field, right, the agencies to drive towards greater coordination. So you heard from Ms. Pirro earlier, right? We need her to execute according to what we think is necessary as we draw it up in Congress, because coordination at the federal level is essential. It's where we come up short, but it's where when done right, we can achieve the most at scale. Right, we're trying to solve a problem that it has transnational actors. It has, people deploying new technology. It is all intricate. It's elegant. But that's why we need to be coordinated on our end to match it in kind. And so the legislation, that we've got, really focuses on marshaling federal resources, real dollars, everything from burn JAG grants to appropriations to getting reporting out of places like the GAO to get a real landscape analysis and then a strong, thoughtful deployment that meets the moment that we're in.
One thing I have learned as a new member is that members of Congress don't have really defined lines that we have to color within as we work to take on legislation and move the needle on problem areas or opportunities that we may identify across our districts in the truest sense of representative government. We have convening authority to bring people together and resources, both at obviously at the federal level, but we can reach down at the state and local level, and then reach broadly, globally. We serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and it's clear to this audience how anchored this challenge is in other parts of the world. And I had, because of my service on Foreign Affairs, the ambassador of Thailand who came by the office yesterday. Well, his government is keenly concerned about this, and the opportunities to work with state, as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office, and our embassy networks abroad, and the panoply of the executive agencies in this space. We have that opportunity from Congress to convene and draw together some of those resources and attempt to lend some structure in space that really has been void of that from a federal engagement standpoint to this point.
Great. So let's dig into that a little bit. That's great setup for the landscape and potential for what you can do via the caucus that you guys are leading, and the role that Congress can play. So can you talk a little bit about what you think the priority issues are that Congress needs to address in order to begin to bend the curve on scams? And importantly, how can or should the private sector play a major role in that effort?
To start with the latter part, the private sector. All of you have a lot of skin in the game, customers that are on the hook for so many of these. And you are and ought to be empowered to do those things and have those tools and access to them in coordination with government resources to protect your customers and to work with us so as to be able to pursue some of the bad actors through DOJ and other federal agencies. I introduced the Dismantling Foreign Scams Syndicate Act, and it was marked up this morning in Foreign Affairs. I've been on that committee for 11 months, and I'll tell you, it's candidly can be fairly partisan at times, but I had vigorous supportive remarks from both our committee chairman and ranking member, and not one dissenting voice from anyone else on committee with us. I had a helpful amendment from the other side of the aisle, but this will go to a recorded vote today, and I'm just going to relate to all of you that Congress is with us in this effort because our constituents, your customers, are challenged by the landscape today, and in a fast-changing AI environment. It's not going to be the toll road scams, the speed cam scams that are the bane of our existence. It's going to be this person that sounds like this family member that are going to bilk people out of billions. I come from the Hoosier heartland. Many of my constituents don't understand AI yet, will not be able to discern the series of phone calls and messages that are coming in. This is just going to spiral out of control if we, in part, don't do our role from a federal standpoint to help rein this in with you, with all of you in the private sector.
Thanks. Mr. Rama?
Well, look, we need to start with, like I said, in dealing with the acronym soup of agencies, we need to have a national strategy, a comprehensive national strategy. That's why tomorrow I'll be introducing a bill, bicameral, bipartisan. Derek Schmidt of Kansas, Kirsten Gillibrand, Senator Scott, and also Senator Kelly to move forward on a national strategy. But an essential part of that is the public-private partnership. We can't get anything done without you, right? If we're talking about the customers, and when we talk about consumers specifically, the discussion about an affordability crisis, you know what helps affordability? Not losing your money to scammers, right? So like this is an essential function, right? And if everything's gonna fit under that bucket, right, then we have to be following up our words with deeds that reflect the uncertainty, the lack of trust that people have. And you know, as technologists in the room, right, when you want to get adoption and diffusion of technology, what do you need? You need trust, right? And so this is essential. Now, other things that we can do in government to make these private-public partnerships materialize is go after the segments of the problem that we're trying to solve for, right? So this is why I talk about elder justice and working with DOJ on task forces. I'm trying to advance some policy in this area because that's a segment of the population that is highly vulnerable and also growing. If you look at the trends of aging in this country, you gotta focus there. Every year we have more of our seniors facing these challenges, so working very, very closely there. We also need to, again, as we build out within agency task forces, find opportunities to bring the private sector in for the expertise. Look, the cybersecurity challenges that we have, and obviously that's a big part of this, are vast and aren't limited to scams. I don't want to shrink that, but I do know that as we invest in those capacities, that having the lens of consumer protection, having the lens of data security will cross-pollinate, right? And also support our efforts in this area. So we just have to break silos. I know that's cliche. You hear that all the time. But this is essential on this particular topic. If we try to let this problem default to being solved by a few people in a corner of government who don't talk to anybody outside of a 3 or 4 letter agency, we will fail. And this is actually so winnable. When I think about the challenges that we face in this country that are vast, I know this is one that is very solvable. So we got to speak to it from a position of optimism and not fear, right? Everything that we talk about tends to be about, addressing some fear. But we can say we are getting people their own money, keeping their money in their pockets. That's the lens with which to operate it. That's how I talk about it at home.
That's a win-win, yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, exactly what you guys are describing, that is what we are about at the Global Anti-Scam Alliance. It's about building that coalition. It's about getting everyone in the room that has a stake in this fight to collaborate, cooperate, and to find the common cross-industry, cross-group, cross-organization priorities that we can all agree to, and to communicate those insights and those priorities. So for all of our members that are part of this alliance and this coalition we are building, we stand as a resource for you guys on the Hill as you come up with the solutions in this space. And I'll just say, as an observer looking at the work that's coming out of Congress right now, it's remarkable. The number of bills that are addressing this, the momentum with which we are seeing this issue being taken up, very seriously. And I am confident, Congressman, I'm exactly what you're talking about. We need to bring some optimism to this fight. I am confident that we really will begin to see some very real action in this space. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your work in this space, for being here with us today. And as a token of our gratitude for your time and your work, wanted to just offer you one of our very sought-after, beautiful Gaza challenge coins.
Okay.
So
token for a token.
There you go. Thank you. So thank you so much, Mr. Amo.
It's very shiny.
And Mr. Shreve, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nils.
Thanks.
Thank you all for sharing some time with us.